All right, Christopher. Thanks for messaging me on the website and everything, and I'm glad I could help you out with one of these new Strikers, the 955 HPC Plus. Sounds like you're a big fan of them. You already have the other one, so I'm sure you'll enjoy this one even more. A little bit newer design. Now again, probably the WX band isn't going to help you guys too much over there. I don't know if you guys have any public weather service broadcasts in that frequency range or not, but you can reprogram some of it, and you can use the VFO option on there, and you can tune around. I'm sure you can find something to listen to if you get bored with just the 10, 11, and 12 meter option. um I'm sure you could find something there. But anyhow, I got your little Mars modification. That's what we'd call it here in the US. Just a little complete the circuit with the 0 ohm there. So I'll get that cover back on it and whatnot. Every once in a while they unfortunately have minor marks and scratches and stuff like that on the bezels. There's nothing I can do about that, unfortunately. These are handled by human beings where they're made, so we're not talking about like somebody taking a screwdriver and sitting here and going like that to it or something, but very minor things. And if I could change that, I would, but that's more, Stryker has the final say in that kind of stuff when they have their radios made. They could probably push for a little bit more. I don't know. You know what I'm saying, though. Same thing on these protective covers. This whole front has a protective cover. I don't know why there's scratches on it, and stuff like that. It's just, I guess, how they put them on. There's somebody, as this comes down the assembly line, that's their job probably all day while they're making these, is to put a sticker on them. And somebody else is probably putting a front face on it, whether it's machines or people. I have to assume maybe it's people, though, but I don't know. So these are made on assembly lines, though. You can be sure of that. So, I mean, they're still new radios and everything. It's just, I like to sometimes mention that anything you get that's handled by human beings, and I'm not perfect either, but again, I'm not sitting here going, let's carve my initials into it, that kind of thing. So just be aware, there's only so much I can do. I'm not going to sit here and put painter's tape all over this chrome and stuff, because what ends up happening is you leave that stuff on there too long, then what happens is you get all that goo and stickiness on there, and I just think it's just pointless. I'm not going to physically harm the radio here. It's not in my intention or my desire to sit here and scratch up a brand new radio, because I could keep this and refund your money just as easy. I just like to, and maybe it's overkill to talk about it, but it happens a lot with certain radios, especially the QT60 and Quad 592s. I've had customers say, how come my screen looks like it's all marked up? And I said, no, that's a protector on there. That's all it is. So anyhow, I'm going to spend a little time on the computer now. I'm going to put the UKFM band into band number 10, like you asked. And then if you watch Andrew's video from Ireland, I do show how to do it, how to make it actually be on the proper frequency, because you do have to go into the menu setting and make this go R and T together. This is your fine, and then you can switch it over 50 hertz, and then it's perfectly on frequency, and then you can just cycle through with the 10K on the channel selector. You can go all through your 1 through 40 band. Again, on these, when you connect that circuit up here, you don't have to do anything else to it. It just automatically comes on like that. If for some reason you ever lose this, I highly doubt that this would ever come off. It would never probably come unsoldered or disconnected, but let's just say, for instance, that it does. All you have to do is reapply that, or put a wire there, or probably even you could do a big glob of solder, maybe even if you wanted to do it like that. I don't foresee that ever happening. I've never had a customer call me or message me or anything like that and say, hey, I got a Stryker from you, 655, 955, whatever have you. I lost the rest of the frequencies. That's never happened. So I'm not saying that it won't. I'm not perfect. I'm just like everybody else. I do what I can, but I'm pretty confident that that'll stay there. But if you ever lose that, that's why. There's nothing here that if you reset the band Or I mean, if you do the reset option in the function menu, you're not going to lose that because of it, because this one isn't like some of the older ones where you had like the HF and whatever the other setting was when you had to hold a button and power it on. I just like to sometimes talk about stuff like that because I forget and I don't always cover it, but every video I might talk about something different. So I'm going to take the rest of the time to get you set up, and maybe I'll come back and quickly show how the radio works and try to make this 10 minutes or so at the maximum. Alright, Christopher, there's your band 10. So I have them all in there, and you should be all set. I'm going to send the file to the radio now. It should match your other radio. So assuming that you do it on your other radio, I'm sure you already know how to do this. So once it's done, I'll just quickly show it again how I would do it. Maybe there's another way to do it. You know how to do it better or something, you know, because you would have more experience using these frequencies versus me. So I'm always willing to learn something too. If there's a better way to do it, I'm open to it, you know. I wish that the software allowed for the 250 to just be directly written in, but for some reason it's not. So, and I know that's something they could easily do. So let's go to 10. Here's channel 1. So we'll just stick with that one for now, and we'll just kind of go through and show. I think I punched them all in right. It can get, because it's a different format than what we would use here. Sometimes you could easily make a mistake, but 27791.250. So I'm going to set this up here. 27.791.250 megahertz. I'm sure I got to plug it in the antenna, and then we'll check it out. I haven't aligned the radio yet, though. I meant dummy load, not antenna. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to go here like that, and that should be it. I'm going to go plus 50. That should put us right there. Well, the radio could be slightly off though, and if it is, I'll fix that later. 27791.25, and then we'll see the O. Yeah, so it's just a little bit off. 27791.263. So what I'll do now is I'll just fix that. I should be able to do that in a second here. Bring up the service for this radio, and we'll see the radio kind of flash to the service here in a second. There it goes. So now we're gonna basically just start looking at things, but I want to adjust the frequency and just kind of see where it's at. So 27205 here. Yeah, so it's like 13 hertz high, which is it's okay, you know, you can fix that. So usually just do like one of these guys and check it again. Okay, now it should be right. So I'm not gonna go out of this though for the time being here, because I want to make sure that, yeah, that's good. I want to make sure that I just finish the alignment here, but well, I will go back and touch on that at the very end. And I'm going to skip over all this part because I've shown it. I've done like, what, 4 or 5 of these? I think I did every single one today. Maybe a couple I did last night, but I've done them all. So they're all gone. They're all sold. That's the FM deviation, about 3.94. It's probably a little too hot for that band due to your specifications, what you're supposed to run, but maybe that's how guys run there. But that's how I set it up. You know, lowering the mic gain will lower it down some, but it won't take a ton of it away. So probably if guys are running like standard rigs like Presidents or something over there with FM and the UK FM band, you might sound a lot louder to them than some other guys, but you're going to sound clear. You're not going to sound distorted or anything, you know. So this comment will be more for the American customers on these. If somebody's telling you that they're peaking and tuning these, I'd be very careful with the AM because they're pretty much doing exactly what they should out of the box on AM. If they go in and set it up like this, there's 105% modulation. So yeah, it looks good on a power meter, and not really though. On my power meter, it doesn't really make much of a difference. But where it really is going to screw stuff up is here. That's just downright horrible. So you definitely don't want that. And I have a feeling that a lot of these upgrades and mod packages and all this stuff that people are trying to throw down your neck and say that you need it, and you really don't. So we want to make sure that we don't do that here, and we clean that up. But I found that it was right at about 96.8%, which actually I turned it down, so that's about where it was out of the box. So just clean it up a little bit. It's still going to do plenty of power, have plenty of modulation, so you know, it's just one of those things. I'm really picky about that, but you definitely don't want it to be turned up all the way. Now, if you do, just realize that the guy running this radio, if you're going radio to radio, he's gonna spank you. He's gonna take you out every single time if you were to key down with you. If you guys are in the same town or whatever, and you're talking to similar people and running the same power and that kind of thing, unless distance-wise somebody's closer, you know, because as we all know, it's like the flashlight pointing at the wall. It's like this. Where is that little thing that I was just using? This is the last video here for the day, so I got a minute or two I can get on with something I wanted to show. Let me find that little flashlight. So imagine, you know, the light's on in my room right now. We can see it's clearly lit in here. That's the dirty radio. The light is going everywhere in the room. It's spreading. It's filling the room, which would be spreading out multiple frequencies. This radio would work like this. If this circle is where the transmitted frequency is supposed to be, all you see is darkness everywhere else. Maybe not to that extreme, but pretty darn close, because you set it up the right way. And it was pretty much close to that already. So would you rather have a room full of light, wasting all that power that you're seeing on your meter, or would you rather have just the power that you need for the frequency that you're on? I think most people would agree this is better than that. It's a really dumb way to put it, but it actually works that way when you think about it. So some guy on Facebook was, or not Facebook, YouTube was, I don't know what he was, I think he was trying to argue the fact that he was talking about the Anytone Aries 2 or the QT40 or something earlier. I just told him, my response to whatever he was saying was, just get some test equipment, you know, and learn how to test yourself and what to look for, and do some basic understanding of how a radio signal should look on some equipment, and then come to the realization that maybe everything you've been told and everything you thought that was the right way, and people have been doing it since the 70s and all that stuff, it's not really the right way, and it was just a way to sell things and to make people look superior than other people, and like, I'm better than him because look what I can make the radio do, and I don't know. Anyways, we're moving on with Christopher's radio here. We're in sideband now. We're gonna take a look at that and get that squared away. So this stuff is really simple with the right equipment. I'll never say anything bad about anybody because we're all just kind of doing our own thing anyways, but it just is what I found, and I find this from my own family members I have that are older than me, and maybe some guys can relate to this too if they have friends or family, or you know, whatever the case may be. When people are older than you, and they may not understand certain things that maybe you understand because it's more prevalent or relevant in your day-to-day life, that they didn't have that when they were your age or growing up or whatever. And I'm not saying people are stupid, because that's not the case. It's just my generation has kind of went from the analog generation to the digital generation. I've kind of seen both, so I can kind of still relate to both. But my mom's generation was totally analog, and when this digital stuff started happening, I think, you either wanted to learn it or you didn't. And my mom never had any interest. Oops, I just screwed that up. Let's go back. So what I'm trying to say here is, I'm trying to do two things at once, but some people, when they don't understand something, they get angry and they want to argue, instead of just saying, hey, like, maybe I should do a little more research and try to learn a little bit more. We all need to learn certain things. I mean, learning is fun. There's so much more things I want to learn with electronics and just everything in general, besides doing this stuff. So that's what I'm trying to say is, don't get mad at something or somebody if they might be able to show things and talk about things, and you may not agree with it. But then again, if you have no way to test yourself, how can you say that what they're showing is wrong? That's the thing that I'm trying to say. If you don't have a way to physically test it yourself, and you're going to poke fun at somebody and call them like, you're full of this and you're full of that, like, go out. If you're truly that invested and interested and you want to make fun of people or call people names and say they're lying and stuff, like, test it yourself. Like, test it. I know that certain things are not the right way to do it. It's just, I've seen it firsthand here, radios and stuff from the unnamed people, and it's just, it's gross. I don't like those kind of radios. I don't like seeing them. It's just not necessary, and I mean, this is basic stuff here. I'm not doing anything special. I get a lot of customers are really happy with what I do and giving me all this credit, but I don't think I really deserve the credit, because I'm just doing, I think, what needs to be done to these and nothing more, and just making them just a little bit better than what they already are. So if you guys think I'm doing all this great stuff for you, that's awesome. I mean, I appreciate it, but I don't look at myself as anybody special, or anything I'm doing here is anything that special with these radios. I feel like, I bought all this stuff and I've kind of learned what I need to see with it and what the radio is supposed to do, and that's all you do is make it do what it's supposed to do, and then the radio speaks for itself, because I take no credit in designing this or doing anything with it. It's just, this is a good radio, and there's no credit that I deserve for who made it and what they've done. So if you want to give me credit for it, that's awesome, but give some credit to these guys in the factory that produces all this stuff, because that's who deserves it. So anyways, enough of that stuff. I guess you could call me, I'm a simpleton. I don't know, I like the simpler things in life. I don't need all this flashy stuff. And that's my personality. Maybe I deserve credit, and I just don't want to give myself the credit, because I don't think I do. So let's focus on this again, because I wanted to show that really quick before I get out of here. So let's go back to 27791.250, but I'll never argue with somebody over something I don't understand. I'd rather try to learn from them, or maybe even ask for help, or whatever the case is. So okay, so now we know we have to do this. Whoops. Like that. You can see R and T is together. 27791.250. Pretty much it's spot on. You can see it's not even deviating from that 5. So that's right where we should be. Let's go up to channel 40 on that band. Oops, we need to move this to, sorry, it's 27991.250. Be nice if I could figure out a way to make that move with the radio with RF. That'd be awesome if it had like RF sensing right to the point where I just put RF into it and it would just change. I mean, I could span out and make it do that, but we'd see more on the screen. But there you go, there's your UK FM. So just remember to move that over. And again, if you know a better way to do it, I'd love to know. Even though I'm not from the UK or anything and I would never really use those frequencies, I'd still be curious to know, how did you do it on your other radio? Or are you doing it the same way? So let's put that back. And then we'll go to the mid band. We'll go to 20. And now I'm just going to finish up here with the power. Okay. This is AM, or this is FM. It's going to be 50 and then 1, so we'll kind of just not really worry about that. I know you probably prefer that more than AM. So what AM here is, you know what it is. It's very popular here. It's the most popular mode on CB is AM in America. Sideband's really close, but I would say out of the 40 channels, maybe like 5 or 6 are used for sideband and the rest are used here for AM. So it's still quite popular here, and I kind of enjoy it myself too. 1 2 3, here's sideband. 1 2 3 4 5, check 1 2. 1 2 3 4 5, check 1 2. So again, you know, you have the typical output of one of these. So far they're all about the same, and it's pretty much doing what it's supposed to do, and it's looking good there. Forgot to show it here on AM. So here it is on AM, 1 2 3 1 2 3. Here it is on FM. So here's how it looks on FM with the 3.95 whatever kilohertz deviation. 1 2 3 1 2 3, check 1 2. And it's just about 50. As it heats up, it might drop just a little bit, but you know, you're not gonna really want to push these to like 100 watts. They don't even go that high anyways on FM, but it's highly recommended. Even if you could figure out a way, I wouldn't ever do it. 50 watts is plenty. If you need to run, like, I guess you guys would call it like a burner or something over there, just turn your RF power down and then run one. Save the radio, do it with something else. Just know that probably the other thing you're running may have some issues with spurious emissions and stuff like that, so probably want to run a 50 ohm low pass filter in line or something like that. So that's my recommendation. Alright, lastly, here's the radio's receiver sensitivity. We're at about 12 and about 112 there with the extra attenuator on the outside. So I don't know how, and again, I'm honest about things, I don't know what's the proper way to test sensitivity on FM. I know with American radios we usually test 1 kilohertz test tone at 30% modulation. So I don't know how we test FM. Honestly, I don't care if people say, oh, he doesn't know how to do that. It doesn't matter. If you know how to do it, post it. I think it would be cool to know, like, what's the standard way that we should test FM for like a CB or something. You know, what's the deviation level that we would test at to make sure that, you know, we would see, you know, the 12 dB of cyanide. I'm sure guys in Europe would know that a lot more because it's been more prevalent there for years and years when it comes to FM on CB. So even though this isn't a CB by design, you know, it's very popular amongst the radio enthusiasts. So, you know, we'll just kind of say that. So let's start here. And we'll see where the sideband comes out. I'm assuming it's going to be somewhere between 125 and 128. About 127. So there it is. And more like 126 point something. Close enough. That's good. I can guess on FM, and I'll just kind of do that now. And when I say guess, what I mean is I know that the technical data that I got from the factory they say when you're adjusting like the S meter calibration to use 1.2K of deviation with a 1 kilohertz tone. So that's what I'm using here. Whether that's accurate or not, I don't know. But it's a way that we can at least measure. I would say that if we're trying to focus on like 2 kilohertz, like is probably normal for America. And I know that there's a certain guy that always comments on my videos from time to time about FM, and obviously he's very knowledgeable about it, and I'm not. So, and again, I don't really have a problem saying that. So I like FM, but you know, using it aside from 10 meters or 2 meters, I really don't use it. I have GMRS license, but I haven't really used it. So going with what I just said, we're at about 12 dB at about 122. Yeah, about 122.4. So I'd say that's really good. It's better than AM. Going to hear more signals. Than AM is going to be the worst, which is what I found over the years I've been doing this on all the radios that I've tested. With that same test, as AM usually comes out to have the worst receive sensitivity, probably because you have the most noise there as well, and you know, that kind of thing. So hope you enjoy it, Christopher. It does come with a PC programming cable, so take advantage of that if you decide to. You can get the software from Stryker's website. And what I would recommend that you do first, if you're going to change something, is back up the data, read from radio, and then save a file to your computer. That way you have it, because it is not really that difficult to go in and program in the, you know, the band how you wanted it. But if you don't save it and you change something and then say you do a reset, you'll lose it. So I would recommend anybody, if you have something like that you want me to do like this, just when you first get the radio, get the software, grab the cable out of the box, hook it up, read it from the radio, save it, and then if you ever make the mistake and reset the radio, you can just send the file back and you're golden. Otherwise you got to sit here and redo it. And not saying that it's that much fun, because it's really not, but it's not that hard either. So one thing I found is when you're doing it, you can hit your enter bar on your keyboard and it'll kind of go through, and that way you're not having to use the mouse and click on every box for the channel number and go click and then enter. It's just rather cumbersome. So we'll get this heading your way tomorrow, and a Happy New Year, and hopefully get some more of these in the future. 73, Happy New Year.